If you look at Nintendo modern open world experiences, you realize that they are doing a pretty good job with it. It's almost as if those guys are pretty good at creating video games. Anyway, in this video I want to share with you guys some of my thoughts about these games and about the path that led Nintendo to create those experiences. It's hard to beat the feeling of getting to a high point in a game and appreciate the scenery. Most of the developers are aware of that because every single open world has a place like this. I mean, they've gone through all the trouble to model this amazing vista, of course they want to show us. But does a game being open world can truly result on great level design, or is it just to create some nice vistas? Well, the answer is obvious. Of course open world games can have great level design. Let's start talking about this. Why it's always exciting when a developer comes out and say, hey, you know that mountain far off in the distance? Yeah, you can go there. It's exciting because it's implying that there's no filler in the scenario. Everything that you see is playable and carefully crafted from the developers to be visited and explored. Instead of different levels with loading screens, every single area in the game is connected to make the experience seamless and authentic. Not sure why that, but our brains really love the idea of a game that can actually simulate real life. Not in the sense of, hey, pay your taxes, but more in the sense of how space and time actually works. Of course, it's really hard to recreate a real world in a video game. We are not that close to God yet. It's even harder to make real life fun, as if God had created the universe with something fun to do in every corner. So, Nintendo, the most video game company from the video game world. Over the years they always try to video gamify the sense of wonder and exploration in different games. Zelda always tried to push the edge on that area, bringing some impressive worlds in the early days with the first game, or A Link to the Past, both giving an impressive level of freedom to the player at the time, materializing the fantastic kind of adventure that many kids from the 80s and 90s had in their minds. Now, amazing as they can be, a 2D world still is 2D. It still feels as an interactive board in your TV for visual purposes. It doesn't have a mountain in the distance for you to admire how connected everything is. I don't want to talk about how groundbreaking Ocarina of Time was. It is an unnecessary commentary at this point. You already know that, your friends already know that, your family already know that, and even your 64 full of dust is saying, stop praising me. But yeah, Ocarina of Time was groundbreaking. Not only Ocarina though, Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie and other 3D games were super important in discovering how to gamify the 3D space, to make exploration fun and engaging, even if the levels were completely disconnected. We are in the early days of course, so by today's standards I would say that the map in Ocarina of Time has a lot of unnecessary space. At the same time I wonder if the feeling of scale would be the same if the open area was not that big. Anyway, the open area is here to give the illusion of connection and an existing breathing world, but in a more mechanical way, it is a hub world to connect the different places you visit. In the passing years, Nintendo continued to produce some impressive and high quality 3D games. However, I also got the feeling that they got a little bit comfortable with the base that they created in the 64, rarely pushing the envelope in a broader sense. Much of the level design for GameCube games were a natural evolution from what we saw in the 64. And in the Wii era, I would even say that Nintendo kinda refused to use open areas, focusing on very linear experiences like Mario Galaxy and Skyward Sword, which are some of my favorite games ever, so not an issue with that. However, on the rest of the industry, we saw more and more developers tackling on the concept of an open world. Grand Theft Auto, Assassin's Creed, Batman Arkham series, The Witcher, tons of high-profile games bringing impressive worlds to life. But I think the one who truly struck a chord with Nintendo was... I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a big Skyrim fan. I tried to play it several times and it just feels as if the game is a complete mess and I end up feeling that I'm doing everything in the wrong way. But it would be foolishness to not recognize how influential and revolutionary it was. A truly expansive experience that gave an outstanding level of freedom and choice for the player. Well, then, a couple of years later, Nintendo's first true modern open world would finally be released. In a video about Nintendo and open worlds, it would be unacceptable to not mention Monolith Soft. The developers behind the Xenoblade series are experts in creating 3D spaces with a powerful sense of scale. After the first Xenoblade, a relatively linear JRPG with gigantic areas connected via loading screens, Monolith had a desire for a new challenge. And then they set out to create a truly open world JRPG, and that's how Xenoblade X came to be. Imagine that. A whole massive planet to explore. No loading screens, nothing. Just tons of aliens, fauna and flora wherever you go. It's hard to express how much of an achievement this game truly was, and how unexpected to see Nintendo publishing something like that after so many linear experiences on Wii. I'm not going to say that Xenoblade X is perfect, because it is not. Mechanically speaking, I think it's way more convoluted than it should. However, the game is really impressive from a technical standpoint, and not only that, but the actual experience can be super enjoyable if you can stick with it. It doesn't matter that the world is gigantic, most of the places were clearly handmade, with fun exploration in mind. Exploration here is not only to observe the beautiful scale, but you can complete interesting side quests, find secret areas, special enemies, items. It's great open level design, and it was essential for Nintendo's next step in that area.
Open your eyes.
Much of what I already said can be applied for this big boy here. As it is with Ocarina of Time, to praise Breath of the Wild is an extreme cliché. But yeah, Monolith Soft helped on the world design of this one, and they brought a lot of things to a whole new level. It's an immense sandbox, really well thought, where every single bit of space is specifically thought for level design, to maximize fun and exploration. And of course, here we have a much more simpler and action-oriented style of gameplay. Breath of the Wild is way more accessible than Xenoblade Chronicles X, and provides an outstanding experience in the action-adventure genre. We have a lot of Skyrim here, some stuff from Assassin's Creed or Batman. It's a great summary of everything good from open world games, while also avoiding many of the usual mistakes on the genre. Breath of the Wild cemented Nintendo as a fantastic developer for open worlds, and I was happy to see that they also tried something with their main mascot. I'm not here to argue if Bowser's Fury is an open world or not. To me it is, okay? Yeah, I know that all the areas are not accessible from the beginning, but still, the way that the game behaves and has all its areas connected is an open world. The difference is only that it is a transforming world. And that is the awesome thing about Bowser's Fury. The whole map is dynamic and is constantly changing, being with the appearance of new levels or when a gigantic Bowser appears to cause chaos. It meshes perfectly the feeling of exploration and awe with classic Mario level design. From my point of view, Bowser's Fury is the perfect evolution from the world map that we saw for the first time in Super Mario Bros. 3. But here it is a 100% integrated, seamless world. It's a fantastic experiment for a smaller open area, and I can only imagine how interesting would be a new full Mario experience like that. But there's a Nintendo franchise that is arguably even more popular than Mario, and it is finally going 100% open world. Oh yeah, Pokémon. On the Switch, the series has been slowly trying to become fully open world. First with the open areas on Sword and Shield, then with the DLC developing more of that concept, then Legends Arceus came, totally shaking the formula, and now, finally, Scarlet and Violet is looking like a real seamless open world. Thanks to a worrying frequency of releases and a lack of polish in recent games, I can say that I'm 100% excited for this new Pokémon adventure. Yes, it is a huge step forward for the franchise, it is looking good so far, but it is not easy to make those massive areas fun and not just a waste of space. Do you also think that Nintendo is doing a good job with those open world experiences? Please let me know in the comments. And thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to see more content like that, this video right here is about Monolith Soft and how they created those open world areas in the Xenoblade series. So give it a try.